Okay. Great. Okay, lovely. So thanks everybody for joining us just to talk about these software options. So I'm Vic, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm a student on the Small Business Coaching Diploma, and tech is my thing. So I'm happy to share with all of you some of the tech options that I've found, just if it just helps you to streamline your choices. So we're going to start our journey with our business with an online booking system. And the booking system that I'm going to be showing you is called 10 to 8. So this was recommended to me by Jackie, who is the one of the trainers on the Small Business Coaching Diploma. This is what she uses for her business. Like lots of other software out there, there is a free version and a paid version. We're going to focus today on what the free version can do for you, which is quite significant actually in terms of what you can do. We're going to start though just with in terms of the client perspective. So if I'm the client, what would I see? What I've done for us today is I've just mocked up, just quickly created a very generic account and just mocked up a very basic experience from a client perspective. So from a client perspective, I would have been sent a booking link either through social media, it might be on an email that I've sent in terms of my coaching contract, and or it might be a link from my website. That's how I have mine set up. There's a button on my website that takes you to my booking page. And then when I'm on the booking page, I can see various pieces of information. I can see who the business is, some contact information for them, and I can see some sessions that I can book. So I can choose which session I would like to book, and so I can choose which session I'd like to book. We had a really good discussion at Virtual Coaching Book Club last week following the Prosperous Coach, talking about 2-hour sessions and whether they were achievable or not. So if you're following the Prosperous Coach model, you can absolutely set up a 2-hour session. If I'm the client, I can see what times, what availability there is. So I've got my own diary in front of me. So if I know that I want a 30-minute session, I can see the times that my coach is available to lead that session. So I can say, okay, I'd like that session to be at 10 a.m. So I click on the time that I want. I fill in my details, so my name, my email address, my phone number. You can choose whether you need the phone number or not. I've ticked that that person has permission to contact me about my bookings. So that's really important from a GDPR perspective. Unfortunately, you can't use this system if people won't give you that permission, but we are only contacting people about their bookings. And then I click on the booking link. And that's it from a client perspective. That's how easy it is for me to book that session. I've been in, I've chosen the length of time that I want, depending on what the coach has selected. What then happens from a coach perspective, and sorry, my emails just come through on my phone to say that someone's booked an appointment, is that from a coach perspective, I can see that that Victoria Hopkins has just requested an appointment. So I'm just going to accept that request. So you can choose whether that's auto requested, auto approved, or whether you want to look at each one individually. So I'm going to accept that request. Then if I just pop into my personal email, as the client, I now my appointment has been accepted. I now get an email. Sorry, it's just been really slow to load. You can see all my emails from everybody asking for their password. Oh, no, that's not the one that I wanted. Come on. So it's going to go really slowly now. This worked instantaneously when I checked it this morning. Of course it did. Okay, so as a client, I get an email through And what that then does is it has a calendar appointment on there for me. It has the confirmation of my appointment with the times. It has the link, it has the Zoom information because I've been able to link my 10 to 8 and my Zoom account together. Luckily on this one, it's included the password, so that's good. Or it has the join Zoom button. Also from a client perspective, it allows me then to add it to my calendar, or if I want to make a change to that appointment, so I need to cancel or reschedule, I can also click on the link within the email, go back to my appointment and then request whether I want to change that or cancel it. So from a client perspective, this is a really simple and straightforward tool to use. So a few other things to note about this so that's from a client. From a coach perspective, so I can synchronize my calendar to 10 to 8 so that if I've got other things going into my calendar, other appointments that I've got or working times, then I can synchronize it in to prevent somebody booking something over the top of something else. So for example, on my calendar, I have we as a family use my husband's Google Calendar to put all our appointments in, because whilst I look at his, he doesn't look at mine. So I've synced his calendar into mine. So if there's something in his calendar, it won't let somebody book over the top of it. And I've also synced my own calendar as well. So that's really helpful. You can set up lots of different calendars. So again, if you've got a business calendar and a personal calendar, you can synchronize both of them into 10 to 8, and it prevents people from booking appointments over the top of it. As we saw from the email that went to the clients, I've linked my Zoom account directly to 10 to 8 so that when somebody books an appointment, it auto schedules the appointment in Zoom, sends them the booking link, complete with password, and also sends that to me as well. If you don't use Zoom, you can also set up Microsoft Teams, and there's also an option of giving people your Skype handle. So if you've got somebody's Skype information, then you can do the same thing. I personally use Zoom. I've used Zoom for quite a long time. For me, it's great that 10 to 8 automatically integrates within Zoom. Other nice things about 10 to 8 is that I can set buffer times so that if I have an appointment in the system, somebody, let's find one as an example. If somebody books a 60-minute session with me, that will then block out the 30 minutes after that as well, so that I've got time to gather my thoughts after the session, take a break, grab a drink, take a quick comfort break before I go on to the next one. So 10 to 8 allows me to deal with that buffering between. And also it allows me to set my availability. So for example, if you are doing your coaching business outside of your working hours, you can set your available times so that people can see what time of day you work. So in this one, I've said I can do coaching any day on a work day between 9 and 5, but also evenings between 6 and 9 o'clock. So that will give the people that are booking the appointments with me the options to find time slots within those working hours. So that's really helpful. Again, if I'm then going to be, say, on holiday, I can just go in to a specific day and delete the availability for that specific day. So on the Thursday, the 22nd of October, I'm not going to have any available hours whatsoever because I need to take that day. And that just prevents anybody from putting that in. Oh, sorry, Delphine. So what we're looking at is a system called 10 to 8. So I am recording this, so we will be able to share the video back at the end. So personally, I find 10 to 8 excellent for all of those things. In terms of payment, on the free 10 to 8 account, I can take payments for up to £99 per session, but that has to be done via a system called Stripe, which has a 0.9% processing fee for free 10 to 8 accounts. So you'd have to, if you have a paid 10 to 8 account, you can have other processing options which don't have the payment, which don't have processing fees, but on the free account you can only have Stripe. They are at the moment looking to upgrade to allow you to collect credit card information in a data secure way, but that isn't currently an option. The other thing that I can do is in the information about my appointment is I can tell people therefore how I am going to invoice them. So if I'm not using Stripe, I can put the information to say, as soon as you've booked the appointment, I will follow up with an invoice. Invoice payment terms are this, etc. You can also set how soon people can book an appointment. So, for example, if I've got a 2-hour session, I might want people to not be able to book that for tomorrow because, you know, I might have to do quite a bit of preparation for that. So that might be 48 hours notice. Other appointments I might allow people to book with 2 hours notice. I can do all that within 10 to 8. The other things that the paid version gets you is that you can brand your opening page. So I could have my logo showing, I could have different images, and I could have a custom URL. I haven't personally found that that's been a requirement for any of my clients. They haven't needed that because they've all linked to this through my website or through something that I've posted on my social media. So they know it's a legitimate website. But that's another option if you do want to go for the paid 10 to 8 account. Jack, you can have up to 100 appointments a month in a 10 to 8 account. So if you are working with, so that's probably 25 appointments a week, which should hopefully be sufficient for most of you in terms of the coaching businesses that you're running. Again, if you want to have more appointments, you might need to look at upgrading to the paid version. So I can talk to you for like an hour just about 10 to 8. The other thing that's in here that is helpful from a coaching perspective is that I can go in to my client and see their records. So for example, I can see that Victoria Hopkins, this is her information that she's entered. I can have a box here where I can store any notes that I want to remember. So we're going to get onto online collaboration tools, but perhaps we're using a collaborative tool together. I can put a link to that in the notes so that it's always stored in here. I can also see the history of any appointments that I've had with that coach. So again, if you're training at the moment, that might be really helpful in terms of remembering how many sessions you've run with people for filling in your testimonial forms. So how many sessions did you have? What length were they? And yeah, any history that goes, any messaging history. So the system also sends reminders, automatic reminders the day before your clients have their appointment. So you don't have to remember to do any of that. But in the history on your client, you'll see a list of all the different messages. So this was me this morning playing around just to say, yeah, what's happened? What did it say? And if I want to message them again through the system, I can do that through the system. So there's lots of advantages, and I know there's other tools out there, but I personally have found 10 to 8 to be an excellent option. So the next place that we're going to go on our journey through software is to look at can 10 to 8 be synchronized with your website? So it depends, Daniela, on, so I have a link to 10 to 8 on my website. It depends on, so for example, I have a free WordPress account, which means that I can't have some of the add-ins or some of the plugins. If you have a paid WordPress account, you can have a 10 to 8 plugin so that you can directly do 10 to 8 through your website itself. So it would depend on who your website provider was as to whether you can have an actual booking page built into your website or not. If I just show you on my website, so on my website, what I do have is on my contact page. When I hover down, I have a book an appointment, and it just takes me directly to my main booking page. So you can do it that way, so that people can see it that way. But yeah, it depends whether you have a paid. For me, I can't have a booking page because I don't have paid WordPress. So the only thing I pay for in terms of my business management is to have a custom URL for my website. So yeah, so the next thing we're going to have a look at is social media management. Now, again, most of the tools that you have in terms of Instagram or Facebook, Twitter have their own inbuilt scheduling tools. So those are a really great option. So I personally don't use Instagram. It's not my thing. But I have a Facebook page and I have a Twitter account. What I tend to use most is Twitter. I find that the people who I'm engaging with are more Twitter users than Facebook. So what I have is I use the inbuilt Twitter function, which is called TweetDeck. Now, TweetDeck is free, so you don't have to do anything with there. And as if you have a Twitter account, you automatically have a TweetDeck account. So you don't need anything to do anything else in order to set that up. What you can then do in TweetDeck is you can set a tweet. So hello everyone. So and you can schedule that tweet to go out whenever you want that to go out. So there's a little calendar and there's a timing that you can do. So if I want that to go out on Friday, I can do that. So I can do that on Friday. So that tweet will then go out on Friday at whatever time I said, 2:15. So yeah, so tweet that on Friday. What I can then see if I just scroll over to the right hand side, this is just about my order that I have things in. I can then see over here a list of any scheduled tweets that I have. And if I want to edit them, I can just click on them or I can just delete it. So I'm just going to quickly delete my hello tweet. The other thing that you can do in TweetDeck, which is the main thing that I use TweetDeck for, is I can have various searches on the go. So if I'm looking for people to interact with or key topics that I want to be able to retweet or comment on, I can have a series of items. So I'm interested in coaching. I'm interested when people talk about SMEs as a business coach. Vision is my thing. I love working with people on their vision, and also I do quite a lot of work on strategy from a facilitation perspective. So this is just allows me then to keep an eye on what's happening in those topics and pick up within here things that I might want to like or retweet or comment on. So I can just scroll through here and see if there's anything that I think is particularly interesting to engage with. So this is a great place to keep track of what's trending in those topics that I'm interested in. I can also see any notifications that I've got in my Twitter, any messages, different things. So TweetDeck. So do you use that? Oh, sorry, Daniela. So I could use Twitter to to engage with people. I tend to if I'm doing some tweets out about different topics, I might then say, oh, if you're interested, book a follow-up call. So one of my options on my booking page is just a 30-minute chat. So if people see something and they're interested in it on my Twitter, then they can just go on there, click a 30-minute call, and then we can catch up about it. But TweetDeck's really helpful just because just you can do all of that within TweetDeck and just keep an eye on what's happening. But in terms of other social media, the other option that I have, so you may have come across something called Hootsuite, which is what a lot of professional social media organizations use in terms of managing multiple platforms, but it's quite expensive. But what I have found is one called Buffer. And Buffer is great for people like us who run smaller businesses because you can link 3 different social media accounts to your Buffer, and you can have up to 10 posts scheduled for those social media accounts at any one point, and that's all on their free package. If you want to link more than 3, or if you want to have more than 10 scheduled, you would have to pay for full Buffer. But what that then allows you to do, for example, is if I want to share something across all my channels, I can create one post on Buffer. So I can create one post on Buffer, and then it allows me to customize for each network. So that can be really helpful if you're doing, because obviously on Facebook you can do a longer post. People's Twitter handles, if you're tagging somebody, their Twitter handles can often be different from their Facebook handles. So you might want to sense check if you're tagging somebody that you've got the correct organization. You might want different images. You might want to slightly tailor the message. You might want it broadly to be the same, but slightly tailored for different channels. So I have my Facebook, my Twitter, and my LinkedIn profile that I do through Buffer. And then you can just, once you're happy with your message, you can schedule, so you can add that to the queue. Now, what Buffer does is it's worked out for my type of business based on the information I filled in, what the optimal time for me to tweet is, or what the optimal time for me to post to LinkedIn is. So if I add these to my queue, then that's going to put those in the next available slot. So for example, my Facebook goes out at 9:04 or 5:26. That's what it's decided is the best time. My Twitter goes out, so I have 4 Twitter slots between 8 o'clock and in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. And I have LinkedIn slots at 11:50 or 4:16. And that's based on all of the information that they have going on in the background. So it helps me to schedule them. So I can try and tie those up if I want them to go out roughly the same time. I can override their scheduling and put it out at the time that I want it to go out. So I can post, I can edit the time. So if, for example, I'd like them all to go out at the same time, regardless of when Buffer thinks is the best time, I can set that to happen. I'm just going to delete all these before I forget. Before everyone goes, why is Vic just saying hello on all her socials today? But yeah, so you can have up to 10 things scheduled for each account at any one point, which is really helpful. You can see I've got some work to do on mine. I had a whole bunch of stuff that went out last week, and I ran out of time to get it. And next week I'm on a conference all week, so my activity tomorrow will be to go on and schedule a whole bunch of stuff. So for me, as I say, I mainly use Twitter rather than anything else. So I use TweetDeck, but you can connect your Instagram to Buffer as well, and do exactly the same. So if you're using Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you can do all your scheduling within one place. So that's Buffer. Okay, so it's 2 o'clock. Great. So what I'm going to do now is talk about online collaboration tools. So the other thing that I do other than coaching is I am a facilitator, so I do a lot of group work. So I do online collaboration with my clients. So I'm just going to show you a couple of free options as to what you can do. So depending on the level of complexity that you want, you can use one called Jamboard. So Jamboard is a Google based. So I'm just going to open this up. Is a Google based app. So if you have a Google account, then you already have Jamboard. You just need to go and find it in your list of apps. And what that allows you to do is for participants to create post-it notes. So on the left-hand side here, we can see I can create a sticky note. I'm going to get tired of typing up hello everyone. So I can create a sticky note and then I can move things around. So if I find personally this is super helpful when people are brainstorming. So I use this myself, not just with clients. So you can, this is one I used yesterday. You see, Tina thought it was amazing. So you can create post-it notes, you can move things around, you can group them together, you can change color. It's just really helpful if you want to, say, create a series of actions and then help people to put them into a timeline. You can put these into a timeline so that you can see, forwards and backwards. And there's loads of advantages. You can share the screen or you can both be working on it at the same time. One of my clients absolutely loves this, so much so that this then is one of their tabs that's open on their browser window all the time. So they just keep it open and they just can go back in and they can sense check what were the things that we talked about me doing, what were my actions that I was going to do, what was the thing I was going to use to celebrate when I finished them all. Actually, what were some of the actions that we came up with that were in my next block of actions that I wasn't, I haven't lost sight of any of that. So it's really helpful to keep something like this. And it's great as well if you are doing any sessions where you've got multiple people in the room, so like me as a facilitator, you can use this with different groups of people, and people can have their own color. So when I could create a post-it note, I've got sort of 5 different colors that I can create, so each person can have their own color. You can also keep it as a record. So for example, one of my clients, I think we're up to about slide 6 now. So each session that we've done, we have a new one of these. So just within the same document. So we just create a new frame, and then it's like, okay, so what's the topic we're focusing on today? What's all the things that we want to capture in relation to that? Okay, great. And then next time we'll move on to another slide, but we've still got all of that history together. So Jamboard is excellent for that, but it is very basic. It's very basic. You can do things like have a pen, you can have text boxes, you can create you can put images on. If you're interested in something a bit more advanced, then there is something called Miro. So Miro has a lot of the same functionality, has the same premise in that it's a way for people to collaborate in a shared space, but I can do more things with it. So, excuse me. So this is what I would potentially use with a larger group. I can have more interesting areas. So for here, for example, I've got the old, Roosevelt matrix, important and urgency. So if people are trying to prioritize things, again, we could create a matrix and put things against their urgency and their importance in order for tackling those things that we really need to get done and understanding the right relative priorities. But yeah, it's just the same idea as with our Jamboard, but I've got more color options. So yeah, so yeah, so I can create. Oh, sorry, I've switched off into my yeah. So and I can just double click. So if I want to create lots of them, I can just double click around. So Miro does have some paid options, but on the free option, you can have three of these workspaces live at any one point, and you can have multiple people working on them, and you can have as many items in the space as you like. So some of the options that I've found for this type of software might limit you to the number of people that you can invite into the space, or they might limit the number of items that you can have in an area. Or they might make it that people have to have an account in order for them to be able to use it. Whereas Miro allows you to create a link. Board one, I'll just call this board one. Allows you to create a link which you can then give to people. So you can give them a link so that they can edit it, or if you just want them to be able to view something that you want to be able to edit, you can give them, so anybody with the link can view, for example. So yeah, you can have different settings for what you want to be able to people to do. So that's a more advanced option as to if you want to have that online collaboration tool, depending on your preferences. I use a different tool called Mural for this one, just because I do facilitate large groups. And to be honest, I found Mural before I found Miro, and I really like Mural. So I'm not pulling away from it, but it is a paid option, hence me not showing that one to you today. Okay, so in terms of, so I think we've got two things left on our list. So the next one was mailing lists. So for mailing lists, I personally use MailChimp. It's something I've only just set up. And one of the reasons I've created this is because I've done a free offering on my website that in order for people to access, they need to give me their email address. So again, MailChimp works really well with that if that's something that you're interested in doing on your own website. So you can do quite a lot again on the free MailChimp account. So yeah, this is something I've only just set up. I was very excited to learn that I'd got my first subscriber when I came into this yesterday to have a look at it. So what so this person came from WordPress, which is the only place that people will find my my mailing list from at the moment. So it gives me that information. But what I have been able to do is they've just changed all of the interface. So I've got to try and find it all now. And they've just changed all of it. So what I have here is a welcome email. So basically, as soon as somebody signs up to my email my mailing list, which they've done through my website, then they receive this email, which welcomes them to the business, lets them know what I might do in terms of giving them some information. It's got my branding on it. It reminds them how to book an appointment. So that's got a booking link, a link to my booking page. And then there's a document that I've given them, which is all about how to set a business vision. So I can set that. So as soon as somebody goes onto my website, let's find the right page. So as soon as somebody goes onto my website at the moment, I've only done it on this this one page just to try it out. Someone goes onto this particular website. I recently sponsored an event with a local business festival. and I'd created a video which was all about having a business vision. So I've reposted that on my website. They've got a special offer of a session with a booking link, and then they've got the how to sign up to my mailing list. So they can do that through my website. So they sign up to my mailing list, click the button. There's the sort of a GDPR statement, which WordPress gave me the wording for. They sign up there. That goes directly into MailChimp. MailChimp then triggers the introductory email, and that email goes out to them. But MailChimp then also keeps hold of their contact information, and that's all on the free MailChimp. What I can then do is I can also then do campaigns and emails out via MailChimp to anybody who's on my mailing list. I say this is new for me, so I don't have a lot of people in my list yet, but you can do quite a lot on a free MailChimp account. Lovely. So the last one that I've got to show you all was just a little bit about graphics, and I know most people weren't as interested in the graphics area as they were in some of the others. So just a quick one. So I personally use Canva for quite a lot. Canva's great because it gives you a lot of free imagery that you can use and fonts. And you again, like with any of these, you can have a free account or a paid account. So depending on what you want to be able to do, you can do quite a lot for free. Some other really great things about Canva is that if you click on the create a design, it already has all of the correct dimensions for your imagery that you want to use depending on where you're posting it. So Twitter wants a different image size to Instagram, that wants a different image size to Facebook, and it depends whether it's a banner or a post. So depending on what you're doing, everything needs to be a different image size, and Canva has all of those built into them. So for example, if I was doing an Instagram post, it wants me to have a 1080 by 1080 pixel image. So it already has that ready for me. What I can then also do in Canva is there's lots and lots of free resources. So it can give me some templates. So if there's a particular if that I like, I can find a template that I can then adapt, or I can create my own imagery. In things like Elements, I can search for images. So if I want to do something with question marks, so I created the one for the event on Eventbrite using Canva. So I've got all of the different social media icons. So you can get lots and lots of stuff in here for free. Now, some of the imagery that you might like. And I find that it tends to be more when you look for business words, if it has a little crown symbol, that means that you would have to have a pro account or a paid account in order to be able to use that image. But you could normally get if you think outside the box and think about different search terms, you can normally find some really great images. So I think I was really struggling with vision. And then, yeah, I started putting other words in and thinking, oh, what pictures might you see of a vision, and looking for those. Yep, so Daniela, you can absolutely insert imagery for free. So there's an upload button. So for example, my branding that I have for my business, I have a whole bunch of things that I've created in other programs so that I can say bring in my logo that just sits in there, or I've got a so this is my main color that I use, so I just have a piece in here that I can then set as the background, so that anything I create, I can use that color as the background for my images as well. So if I want to then overlay different elements, then it will be consistent with my branding because all of the backgrounds will be the same color. When you want to download it, you just go into the top corner. You can download as different types of different types of files. Some of them do require you to have a paid account, but you can normally get PNG, which is excellent for social media. So you can just download that. And then I can go into my buffer, create my post, which I can then upload that image into, and then schedule that to go out on my buffer. Yeah, and Daniela's just sharing in chat about a great website for free imagery is the Noun Project. Thank you very much for sharing that, Daniela. That's great. Yeah, they also have some in Canva as well with some photos and templates. So I'm running a murder mystery for my facilitation conference next week. So I'm using the crime scene banner for that as well. But yeah, and like with any of the others, there's quite a lot of imagery that you can get for free on Canva. But though, if there's the little crown symbol, then you would need to have a pro account to pay for it. So that's my really, really whirlwind tour through through all the different pieces of software. So I'm just going to stop the recording. Oh, Daniela's got a question. Can you edit the images on Canva, for example, crop? Yes. So some of them you can, so they can redo the crime scenes if you don't want it to be so big. Some of them, depending on what the images are, you can adjust them in other ways. So you can change your way things like brightness and contrast. For example, on the question marks, I will be able to change the colouring of them. So I could pick a different colour that blended more with the backgrounds that I want to use. So yeah, there's quite a lot that you can do on there. Great. So I'm just going to stop the record.